In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a fabric basket just like this. I've made mine with some lovely sewing fabric. It's got all sorts of sewing notions on it, and I've lined it with a calico, and it's strengthened with a fusible medium weight interfacing, though you could use a fleece fusible interfacing if you wanted to. I'm also going to leave the measurements in the description for a large one and a small one, but this is the one that I'm going to be showing you how to make. You need the same instructions for all three. It's just the cutting measurements which are different, which, as I say, I'll leave those in the description at the bottom of the video. Okay, thank you. So let's get on and let's make our lovely little basket. I usually start by making a paper pattern. This one is 10 inches or 25 centimetres wide, 8 inches or 20 centimetres high. And then I've cut a 2 inch by 2 inch or 5 centimetre by 5 centimetre piece out of the two bottom corners. I then pin this pattern to my fabric and cut it out. I cut out 2 pieces of the outer fabric. So here I've got the fabric folded over. So I'm cutting out 2 pieces together. Then I'll cut out 2 pieces of the lining fabric and 4 pieces of medium weight interfacing. Here you can see I have 2 pieces of outer, 2 lining fabrics and 4 pieces of interfacing. Just note the fabric change here. From now on I'll be using this fabric. Exactly the same, it's cut out the same, it's just a different fabric. And the next step is to add your interfacing to all of your fabrics. So you need 2 pieces of interfacing on the 2 outer fabrics and a piece of interfacing on each of the lining fabrics. As I said, I'm using a medium weight fabric and a medium weight interfacing. As you can see, I'm not doing a side to side motion when I'm ironing the interfacing on. I press it up and down so as not to move the interfacing. I hold the iron down for between 5 and 10 seconds and then move along to the next place and keep going till I've covered the whole area. With right sides together, I place the outer fabric on the lining and I'm going to put clips all along the top edge to hold it secure, ready for sewing. You can use pins for this if you prefer. I then take both sides over to the sewing machine and I take a 1 centimetre seam allowance and sew both sides together at the top, remembering to back tack at the start and the finish. I do exactly the same on the other side, back tacking at the start and the finish and taking a 1 centimetre 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Each side sewn together along the top edge. Now take your 2 sides you've just sewn over to your ironing board or ironing mat and we're going to press the 2 seams open. Next we're going to pin or clip the 2 sides together, making sure that that top seam matches up on both sides. We're only going to sew the side seams. We're going to leave the cut out corners unstitched, and we're also going to leave a small area on the lining side at the top left open, ready for turning the right side out. Take a 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on all 4 sides, remembering to not sew around the 2 inch or 5 centimetre corner cutouts. Leave those open for now and remember to leave a 3.5 inch or 9 centimetre gap at the lining side to turn your basket the right way out when you've finished it. The next step is to box out the corners. So we start with one of the corners at a time and we bring the 2 centre seams together and push out the sides. I'm using clips to hold them together. You could use pins if you prefer. We do the same to all 4 of the corners, 2 on the outer and 2 on the lining. Next, take over to the sewing machine and again take a 1 centimetre seam allowance, remembering to back tack at the start and the finish, and close each of the corners. Almost there. All we need to do now is turn our basket the right side out. So through the hole that we left in the lining, we're going to turn the basket the right way out and push the lining back inside the basket. Then turn about 1 inch of the lining over the outer fabric. Just one more job to do, and that's to slip stitch or ladder stitch the opening we left closed. You could use your sewing machine to do this, nobody's going to see it, but I like to slip stitch it. If you want to know how to slip stitch, I do have a separate video on slip stitching. I'll put a link in the description below for this. As a quick guide, you take about 1/8 of an inch of fabric from one side in a parallel line, go directly over to the opposite side and take another 1/8 of an inch, back over, directly opposite, another 1/8 of an inch, and it should form a ladder. You pull the ladder tight and you've formed your ladder stitch or slip stitch.